is Not Sam Wrestling.
Introducing your host from New York, here is Sam Roberts.
For the first time on Not Sam Wrestling, we have an NXT. Well, it's not the first time there's an NXT superstar on Not Sam Wrestling, but it's the first time it's this NXT superstar, one half of the new NXT Tag Team Champions of the World, the Street Profits, ladies and gentlemen. Montez Ford is here. What's the haps, Montez?
Woo! I've been waiting a long time for this, man. You know why? You know why specifically, Sam. You know why specifically, right?
Why is that?
Why is it? I've been waiting a long time for this because I wanted to actually get you on a conversation and just say, you know, before we go forward, man, come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. You know this is going to come up, man. You know this is going to come up. Man. Before we go forward, we got to squash this, man. We got to squash this, man. The comments about Bianca, man, we got to squash it before we go forward, man. We got to squash it, man. It's got to happen.
Look, you are a man amongst men for bringing it up right off the bat, first of all.
We got to squash it, man. I got too much. I love her to death, and I respect you enough. Like, I'm not telling you apologize or anything. I respect everyone's opinion. But to say she's not deserving, it was like, come on, man. Come on, man.
Look,
you know, so we can squash it now. So everybody's into apologies. So we just apologize now, and we can go on and have a beautiful podcast, man, because it's a beautiful day out here.
I'm ready to squash it. I'm ready to say that Bianca Belair is clearly an incredible athlete who, by the way, since I think that was January, has only improved and improved and improved and improved. I don't have any ill will towards Bianca Belair. I'm a fan of Bianca Belair. In that moment, I thought that she wasn't ready for the NXT Women's Championship, and she didn't win that match. But going forward, when she came back to take over for the Fatal 4-Way, I thought she belonged in that Fatal 4-Way match. And quite frankly, everything she's done since then has impressed me, and it's impressed the NXT universe. So I can't sit here and tell you that Bianca Belair is not one of the greatest athletes in NXT, especially after I watched her on the NXT Combine. But I said what I said in January, and that was January.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was just talking about the whole press in January, man. You have to give me a whole monologue. It's okay, man. But anyways, man, that's out the way, man.
Yes.
How are you doing, man?
How are you doing, man? I swear, watching that championship ladder match at NXT TakeOver over the weekend, especially on a TakeOver show like that, because I don't know if people realize, but the vibe that I got in that NXT locker room was that you guys were all keenly aware that this was the first TakeOver in a long time, and definitely the first TakeOver in an arena that was not attached to a main roster pay-per-view weekend. This was the first time that you guys were stepping outside of that space and acting as an independent, functioning body. And I feel like every single match brought so much fire. I thought that the crowd brought so much fire to every single match. Was there an intimidation going into this ladder match, knowing what had just happened before you and what was going to happen after you, that in order to shine, you guys were going to have to completely go all out?
Okay, yeah, okay, cool. First, I'd like to say, thank you for having me on this podcast. Thank you for taking the time out the day to not only have me on the podcast, but, addressing what we addressed earlier. And now TakeOver. Yes, do I think it was a part of an intimidation? I do believe so. And the reason why I say that is because NXT has already built that type of aura when it comes to those main stages. And like you said, it wasn't attached to the big four, as everybody call it, is WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, SummerSlam. It wasn't attached to that. So for us to actually be on a single solitary weekend and have that much attention on us, that's the intimidation factor already. And not even one single match has even begun. So this is all the stuff that is going through me and Doc's heads, like leading up to TakeOver. It's like, not only all the eyes will be completely watching us, but we gotta go out there and we gotta take it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's Takeover has already built the vision to, in my opinion, to the wrestling world that they are the brand. They are the brand, and they are the measuring stick when it comes to everything. And our main thing is to go out there and actually just show people like who we are. Period.
Yeah, and I mean, especially for you guys who you have never had a major opportunity at TakeOver before. Like you and Dawkins, the Street Profits have never had the opportunity to shine on this level.
No. That was both me and Docs. Docs was actually, he's been part of developmental for 7 years. I just passed a little bit over 4 years here, and this was the exact first time for both of us to be on TakeOver. That's correct. And that's why, like I said, leading into TakeOver, it was like, this is your first time, and like it's the same thing whenever somebody new gets signed or walks through the door. Like you gotta make an impression. So granted, he's been here 7 years, and I've been here 4 years. TakeOver is like where all that hard work, all the years you put in, that's when it has to show there. Because you don't want to go out there and put out a performance and like you feel like you undershot yourself. That's the first time you're out there. Eyes are out there, and it's obviously about, we wanted to outdo ourselves of all the years leading up to that. And I think that's what the major thing for us leading into that, especially with our families ringside, the kids, his girl was watching, my wife was there. It's just so much like just leading up to it. And the atmosphere, like you said, was crazy.
Well, and it's also like, for guys like you, it used to be, the Performance Center used to be built for guys like you and Dawkins, but the Performance Center and NXT has evolved kind of past that to the point where guys like you are watching, whether it's the Viking Raiders or the Undisputed Era or Mustache Mountain or whatever team it is come in. People that have been wrestling for years around the world come in and get into that tag division and go and get those tag titles and get those tag titles. And I would imagine that for you two, you at some point have to sit there and go, what do we have to do to prove that we're on this level? What do we have to do to break through this cycle of people who are coming in here with a reputation and going right to the top?
Right, absolutely. I completely agree, man. I think the main thing that drove us was the fact, like you said, you have all of these experienced wrestlers and entertainers are coming in from all types of world, like from other promotions, and they made names for themselves. So when we did get those opportunities to go against them, like when we went against the War Raiders, like for us, that was our time to show us, like, hey, these guys been around the world. We want to show, like, hey, we can hang with them. We can go with them, and that's all part of like making the mark. And I think that's the beauty of NXT and why the competition is so high and everybody is so like viciously hungry, because you have people from all walks of life that can possibly come here. So you have to be like on your A game pretty much all the time, because all types of people coming in, all types of people want the opportunities, all types of people have like this certain name that they're trying to build up and keep. And you just have to let them know, like, whenever it's your time to get the opportunity, you got to shine. You got to go.
Yeah.
Because that chance may not come back around again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. What were you doing before you were at the Performance Center for WWE?
So from 2008, 2012, I was in the United States Marine Corps, and then afterwards, I moved to the South a little bit and worked for this plastic factory called AP, shipping plastic, man, for farm mills, shipping 12-hour shifts. And then at that point, I was like, yeah, this is rough, strenuous job. Like, I feel like, it's not really doing too much for me here. Like, I don't think I can advance as much as I need to take care of my kids. And I would imagine
too, there's a little bit of culture shock, right? Coming out of the Marines and doing this thing that's like the most honorable thing that you can do. And then you're working in a plastic factory. Not that there's anything wrong with working and shipping plastic, but there's just got to be that sort of, I was doing more. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's about doing more in regards to the military, or
just doing like I would have to imagine that being in the Marine Corps comes with a tremendous sense of importance to what you're doing, and that sense of importance in what you're doing, that you would get hungry for that sense of importance in whatever follows after.
Yes, absolutely, and that makes perfect. Like, it is a culture shock because the military is structure based, and everything's time, deadline, or whatever, and you have to be efficient and all this other things, and you got to be pretty much precise in everything you do because decision making is key.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, culture shock, and we call it, we get in the civilian world and everything's a little bit slower. People don't move as fast, and it's pretty much you have to go. And I think that's what led me to actually, obtaining my dream, which is the WWE NXT. Is, like I said, I worked in the plastic factory for like maybe a couple of months, and then eventually I went back to I guess a government website where you can submit your resumes, and they help you get government jobs from your past experience. And I actually ended up getting a contracting job back in Coronado and San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
And all in between this, I already had my first tryout in the WWE in 2013. But at the time, they said I spoke well, and they said, just keep trying and keep sending us emails and send us update pics, and, we'll possibly get you another opportunity. So on the process of that, I did the contracting job back in San Diego and Coronado, and I just kept hitting up like one of the HR department representatives, just kept hitting them up, sending emails, sending like pictures, sending videos, like showing my progress. And I even remember from the last trial, I gained almost 40 pounds between that one and the second time they sent me out there. And second time I went out there, did a tryout, and here we are.
Wow. And so you're not like wrestling on the weekends or wrestling on the side while all this is going on?
No, I'm just strictly working and doing some classes for through school, because through the military, you actually get to use a GI Bill to obtain classes and get a degree. So I was working and trying to obtain my degree in criminal justice on the side.
Wow.
So no, I wasn't wrestling. I didn't have any wrestling experience before NXT at all. The only wrestling experience I had was watching it as a kid. So,
so are you just a natural athlete? Because, looking, anybody that watched TakeOver, but anybody that's familiar with the Street Profits in general in NXT, like your we talked about Bianca at the beginning of this thing, your athleticism is right there. It's something that sticks out. It's what you bring. So the idea that you weren't any form of professional athlete before getting to the Performance Center at all is kind of amazing.
Now, I would say I didn't play sports, because I did play sports in high school, but it was just like, I get what you're saying. It was just a dip, because when I graduated, the main sports I was doing was track, cross country, and basketball, and play a little soccer as well. But track was like the main thing that we were doing, and I was doing ROTC as well. But once I graduated, it was just pretty much like I said, the military. But I didn't do any sports since probably high school. So
wow, like
coming to the Performance Center was like a refreshment of just getting back into the groove of, the athletics from high school. So thank God my mother did put me in sports. I had some type of muscle memory coming in. Thank you, Mom.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. God bless you.
Yeah, thank God there was some kind of foundation there, right?
Right.
So who were you a fan of growing up when you were watching wrestling as a fan?
As a fan, The Rock. The Rock was like the complete package to me, man. I just liked the way the way he carried himself, his posture when he spoke, the different mannerisms, and how animated he was. And like, I remember I used to walk me and my sister used to go to the same high school, because we were like 2 years apart. And I remember like we used to go on lunch, and we used to make entrances coming into the cafeteria, but I would always do The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And The Rock was my guy. Like, I used to get up on the edge of my bed and raise my right arm and cut promos at school on the teachers and get sent out sometimes. But yeah, The Rock was my guy growing up. The Rock was my guy, man. Like, he still is, man. He still is, man.
Have you spent any time with him since you've been wrestling? Like, have you met him or?
Since I've been here, man,
yeah,
I've met pretty much everyone across the board except for The Rock.
Wow.
I met Brock. I met John. I met Brock Lesnar, John Cena. Spoke with Undertaker back in Dallas, in Dallas when we had the WrestleMania in Dallas for a little bit. with Elias and just I met everyone across the board except for The Rock. There's only one I haven't met yet, man.
Well, I mean, obviously it's going to happen at some point, especially, you know, with you guys. You're just on this is just the beginning, quite frankly, for the Street Profits. Who, in terms of the people that you watched growing up, or in terms of, you know, because obviously Triple H is a big influence on you, and Triple H is of the same era as The Rock. Who of the guys that you watched growing up have since come up to you and said, oh, I really like this thing that you do, or offered you some kind of advice that you were like, oh my God, this is crazy?
So I've gotten, because we're blessed to be here at the PC and have like so many like different coaches and talent like come through here, and it's just like, I think for me, everyone across the board that's walked up and said something, I can't even like go off the name, but anyone who's ever came up and like said something or gave advice, it's been like, wow, like, yeah, like this is like, you know, I remember one time, I think this past weekend at TakeOver, and Shawn Michaels was giving some insight like towards the like how he feels like, you know, our tone or should be going into the match. It's like, wow, it's Shawn Michaels, you know, this is Mr. WrestleMania, you know, giving
right.
like advice towards, and it's mind blowing. And you don't, and Triple H even said one time, boss, he was saying one time how like, you know, sometimes just everything happens so fast, and just sometimes just take time to sit back and enjoy all of it. And I thought that was like also one of the most realest statements I've heard too, because it all does happen fast. It do seem like yesterday, you know, 2015, I started here, and now TakeOver is already passed for me in adults, and like it happens fast. But like you said, it's like one of those things where you just got to sit back and just take it all in, because we're gonna look back and be like, man, this is a really good time in our lives, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think that there's any doubt. I think that everybody that's come from NXT that I've talked to kind of just thinks back on some of the matches that they had, especially on takeovers. And it's just, I mean, man, what a great time it is for all of you guys that are doing what you're doing. When you have that moment that is going to close the match at TakeOver, the jump from the rope to the ladder, that spectacular move where it looks like it's not going to happen because the ladder looked like it was really far away from the rope. Is there anything in your head going, oh my God, if I don't make this ladder right now, the whole thing is blown? Like, this is not, you know, I think people take for granted that it's just going to happen because as fans, we just get to kind of watch you guys do things that look impossible. But you're a human
Right.
being that has to pull this off, right?
Yeah, it was terrifying, and I even remember toward the end of the match where Dawkins speared Cutler, and I was like, oh man, I gotta go. And then like I'm just thinking, like as I'm getting up there, I'm just like you said, I'm like, man, if I don't make this, man, I was like, you know what? I just won't show my face anymore. You know what I mean? I just leave the company. I'll change my name.
Yeah.
You know, I might go by, you know, a different name, a different alias or whatever.
Yeah.
I have to just change my name. I'll move to Puerto Rico or something, or I'll go to, you know, it might even get so bad I might have to move, you know, somewhere way off grid and just change the name, because I'm like, if I don't make this jump, man, this is all the stuff that's going through my head as I'm on the top rope, leaping to the ladder.
These are your midair thoughts. That like
you can even see at the end of once I landed, you can even see my eyes in shock of like, oh snap, I made it.
because you're just sitting there in midair going, the last 5 years, this is it. This is
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, man, this is it, man. This is it, man. I'm like, man, like, you know how bad it would be for the kids that have to go to school and like, yeah, man, your daddy, yeah, he didn't make it.
No, I mean, and I was feeling the same way because I talked about it on the pre-show that this was the make or break moment for the Street Profits. You guys, after all this time, were finally getting your opportunity. I said exactly what you said at the beginning of the interview, that there is nothing that says that they're going to get another opportunity. This is it. This is the one. So, I mean, I feel like it all is encompassed into that one jump, that the fact that it was able to be pulled off flawlessly kind of lets you know where everything is going.
Thank God for it, though.
Yeah, really.
So,
Who came up with the whole Street Profits, the name, the act, the cups, the whole thing? Because, I mean, you know, it's one of those, I don't want to say gimmicks, I say acts, because it's one of those, the Street Profits, I feel like is one of those teams that is so contemporary and feels like relevant to what's going on and what young people are actually doing and feeling and saying and thinking. Like, it's just so on the pulse more than a lot of other stuff is. How much of that is you and Angelo? How much of that is input from other people in NXT? How does that all come about?
Well, so I don't know how much trouble I get in this podcast for saying, you know, whatever happens behind the scenes or whatever. But the whole Street Profits act was pretty much like it's crazy how it started. Was I think it was a taping where I think I had, ironically, it's crazy how all this stuff started, is how it all culminated at TakeOver. It was a taping where I went against Steve Cutler, and on the same tapings, I think Angelo Dawkins went against, at the time, No Way Jose.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, at the time, a couple people came to us with the idea of having us as a tag team. So we was like, you know, we started, you know, tagging out on the Florida shows and getting stuff together and just trying to get a groove and, you know, just trying to get a groove of like what do we want to present to the world? Because we already know like who we are, but now it was just a process of trying to put who me and Dawkins are as people and translate it into professional entertainment, professional wrestling.
Right.
Does that make any sense?
Absolutely.
Because I think the art of NXT is putting your personalities through, you know, what we do in the ring. Just putting the personalities out there and just getting everybody on board to understand like what we're really trying to bring to the world. So like from once we had the tapings, you know, a couple ideas of putting us together, and we ended up meshing together, and the name was just like, my name actually came from it was a guy, I believe, that came to the PC, because once we have the little PC tours and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and he came in. His name was Montez, and it was like, well, there you go. That's Montez. And then like my last name is Crawford, so that's where the Ford came from.
But somebody came in named Montez and had no idea that it's like, yeah, you just gave me my name.
It came in. His name was Montez, and I forgot what his name was, but he was Montez, and I was like, you know what? That's my name. That's my name, man. That's my name. So I went to the courthouse and got my name changed, man. Like Ocho Cinco, man. That's my name now.
That's amazing.
Montez Ford, man. But all seriousness though, but yeah, everything that's been put together, like the act and everything is pretty much me and Doc just bouncing ideas off each other and just doing, you know, just feeling it while we out there. And then just like, obviously, like I said, like having the staff and everyone just have us find different ways of, you know, doing our action and performing and making sure that the audience captivates it and understands it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because everything is a flow. It's a flow. And I think that's one of the major things. Like, I want to personally thank, you know, everyone that's helped us along the way, is just actually getting the flow of who we are, because our culture is different. And just like everyone else who's out there performing, everyone has a different culture and a different way of expressing themselves. And I'm just glad now it's to the point now that everyone can, well, it seems like now that everyone can understand it, you know?
Yeah, and is that part of it? Do you have to explain like why the music has to sound a certain way, why you're coming out to the ring with cups, why you're doing, I'll do this dance, but I won't do that dance? Because I mean, you're right. It does have to be culturally relevant, because if you start coming across like a parody, or like you're trying to be something that you're not to relate to something that's not working and it's phony, people are going to throw it out immediately.
Right. And that's one thing that, I feel like we don't want at all, is that we don't want people to not understand us, or we don't want people to feel like we're being offensive. It's just us being expressive and
Right.
passionate about what we're doing, because like a lot of things nowadays, and you know, because you deal with podcasts, you deal with different people all the time. There's a lot of things now that get misunderstood for either the wrong or right reasons.
Yeah.
And our thing is just constantly just trying to like get people to understand, like, like this is what we do. And if it does get to a point where they don't understand, then it's just like, well, maybe it's just not for them, but that's not what we want in the day. We don't want it to be like, well, they don't understand, so forget them. Like, no, it's just, we want to communicate with everybody, and that's the beauty of it, like to bring everybody in,
Yeah, to take your unique culture, but then make it inclusive, so that you can have a whole audience in Bridgeport, Connecticut, putting their cups up with you and dancing with you, and they're all doing your thing because everybody's celebrating it. Yeah. Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
That's the main thing, man. And I think like I said, that's the beauty of NXT. Just grabbing everybody on for the ride, because like we're all in this together, so we might as well enjoy ourselves and in the whole process of all of this. So but yeah, man.
How important and helpful was it for you and Angelo to go over and spend some time in Evolve and to get out of the WWE system? Evolve is part of the whole thing, but to go to Evolve, a separate company, and to kind of get the feel for what that's all like.
I can honestly say, man, that was probably one of the best decisions and moves we ever made as a tag team, because like I said, me and Dawkins, we didn't have any independent experience beforehand. We didn't work in the indies. We didn't have any experience. So like going there and just getting the feel of like a speck of what they possibly go through, like when it comes to the wrestling setups, the performances, the environments or whatever. It's just like the hustle, the grind that they have to do, and listen to these guys' stories and listen to how exactly how they got to the point of us being there at the Evolve at the same time. And it just humbles you,
Yeah.
And it just lets you know, like, everybody has a story about, how they got to that certain spot in their career, and it just humbled us. And then to work with guys that had different styles, different pace, and us constantly having to make adjustments, and it just put us in a good, learning curve, a learning block. And like I said, it humbled us completely. And it just shows like all the talent and works in life that come in, it's like you get a kind of a feel of like what they go through before they either get to NXT or they go to another promotion or whatever. 'Cause everybody has their own experiences and what they go through. And I think for us, like you said, stepping out of the NXT system and going over there and just seeing how things work is just a different flow, different environment. And it just makes you appreciate everything, and not just NXT, but Evolve and just everybody, just everything around.
I know you've only been champion for a few days. You want to take some time at least to just enjoy the fact that you not only got through that match, but got through it super successfully. And it was, in my eyes, everything you guys could have wanted it to be. But have you guys thought to yourselves, like, oh my God, the level that we just took that match to, do you understand that there's another takeover in August in Toronto? We're going to have to defend now these NXT Tag Team Championships. And this is the level that people now expect the Street Profits to be performing at on these takeover shows.
Oh, I love it.
You do? Yeah.
the hard part was like I said, the first takeover, and is to get there and set the bar. And we wanted to set the bar extremely high, because I feel like that's how we've been operating for the last couple of years we've been together. It's just keep setting the bar high and keep trying to outperform yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that we got on the first takeover, and like you said, if that's what we did, okay, good, thank God. If that's what everybody thinks, good. but that's our thing now. If that's the bar we're at, we want to go higher. We don't want to go below that. And then even after that, we want to go higher than that. And I think that's the mentality of a lot of people here too, just constantly being hungry and just wanting to press the envelope every single time. Every single time.
Yeah. I mean, and it's clear when you watch TakeOver. They're amazing. To me, NXT TakeOvers, and I watch everything, you know that, and I stand firm in saying that TakeOver shows are the best shows in wrestling right now. I mean, as a fan, it just doesn't get any better, and it's consistently every single time. Have you guys thought at all about, whether it's 2 weeks from now or 2 years from now, where the Street Profits may fit on the Raw or the SmackDown rosters, or are you more concentrating on what's right in front of your faces?
I think for us, because NXT is our home, and I feel like every person that's either come through NXT or is still in NXT, everyone has performed at such a high level that, in our opinion, it's its own brand. So I think for now, like what me and Dogs is focused on is obviously keeping the NXT Tag Team Championships, but also making this brand more of what it already is and pushing the envelope even higher.
Yes.
Because I do feel like NXT is the imprint, it's the brand, it's the brand, it's the one that everyone has eyes on, it's the one that everybody's measuring off of. If you think about it, like you said, even when people do comparisons with any types of shows, they always compare it to the takeovers.
Right.
And that's the bar that we want to just keep pushing. So for right now, our focus on is just whatever happens from here until beyond, we want to make sure that we push the bar as high as it possibly can before anything else happens. So,
Well, I mean, it makes perfect sense. Montez Ford, I'm a fan. I love what you guys are doing, and congratulations on the success and where this is all headed. I think that the right team won at TakeOver, and I'm really excited to see what happens next, man. Thank you for doing the podcast, and also for starting this thing and clearing it off and making sure that everything is squashed.
No, man, it's all good. I appreciate you having me on, man. Thank you for taking the time out and, just being patient and having me on your podcast. I do appreciate that. I thank you so much for, now we got this whole thing cleared up between the whole Bianca issue now. Now we can go out and have some sushi or some pizza at Chuck E. Cheese or something now.
That's right.
You like Chuck E. Cheese?
I love Chuck E. Cheese. Who doesn't?
I'm saying it's like Vegas for kids. That's our thing, man.
Yeah, I'll bring my kids. It'll be great. It'll be perfect.
Yeah, we'll go, man. We'll shoot the basketball, see who can get the highest points in the smallest amount of time. We'll do everything.
I love it. I can't wait.
But yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, man.